Okay, at first I was thinking I don't want to do anything I did last time, which was 2 years ago, not 2 nights ago. And I was thinking, I know Renshi doesn't show you something one time and then never does it again. So we're going to revisit a few things I did 2 years ago, which most of you weren't even here for that. So we're going to do some chokes, we're going to do a drill, then we're going to do some calf crush stuff, and then we're going to do some throw stuff. And you're going to get thrown a lot. So I thought since you just kind of got thrown around, I thought we'd kind of space that out so you could kind of recover, all right? So put your head that way. What I found with students when they were first learning, especially my Army guys, because they would only have a couple lessons and then we wanted to do some sparring. And we were kind of MMA sparring. They would start little kickboxing and I was like, you take him down, boom. And then what do? And they only knew a few chokes. And they kind of forget, well, if I have this choke right here, and then I want to do this choke, they would completely disengage. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So I put this little drill together where this is kind of like a zipper, all right? So we're in here, I'm going to get nice and deep, I'm pulling this way, here's this choke, okay? But maybe it's not working. Because the counter, I'm like, oh, he's countering it. Well, here's the zipper. Zip. You don't have to disengage, all right? So I'm here, this one's kind of working. Now I've got it here, and I can come all the way forward and really put something on that choke, okay? Every once in a while, you get down there, and you're like, why is this guy still not tapping out, you know? My awesome choke is the rear naked choke, or the neck crank. But people would do that and like, okay, I've got to come all the way back up here and now try to get that. And that just is a lot of effort. That may not happen. You've given them a chance now. So what we're going to do when we are down here like that, I'm here. See where I am? Okay? I didn't have to disengage. I just let go of this hand, slid under the neck, found my bicep, let go of that choke, and then I've got it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So that's the first 2 parts of it. So get down on your knees. Right hand goes deep, so it's a punch. This hand's pulling to the hip, all right? You're doing however you crank it, and you're like, man, it's not working. Zip. Now I've got the X. You could maybe make it work here, and you're like, come on. Man, my head's all the way down. Take your right hand out, scratch your head to show that it's out. Slide it under your chin, which means it went under their head. Grab your bicep on the other arm, and there's the neck crank, right there. That's the first 3 of the 5 steps in this drill. So go ahead and do that with a partner, and see if you can make it feel nice and natural. And go. Let's look at 2 things real quick. 1, sit up, turn around. All right, neck crank, rear naked choke, they're the same mechanics, all right? Just squeezing isn't doing a lot, all right? You see this space here? See that space?
Sir.
It's gone. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
If I just do this, it's not as gone. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right? His neck is thicker than that. All right? Make a fist. This is Caleb's head right here. All right. So, I'm just squeezing. Pull it out. All right. Put it back in again. Now pull it out. You see what my elbows did? I mean, I'm taking that space and folding it into me. All right, you're loving it to death. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So if you struggle with the rear naked choke and the neck crank, I mean, if you've really got it on, it's sometimes hard for an instructor to see and feel what you're doing, and they're telling you, and you're like, I'm doing that. Well, maybe you are, maybe you aren't. But that's a way to really cinch it tighter. Okay. All right. He's back down here. Now, if you know that paper cutter really well, you noticed we started it different. We're going to end it a better way, all right? But we did 1, we did 2, we did 3, all right? See how I popped back around? So I was here, and I grabbed this. I grabbed his collar, pop his head through, and now the thumb is in there. So we did it both ways, okay? I've choked plenty of people out this way, but this way does work better because you're getting this, is it the radius? The ulna. I think that's the bone. The bone. The bone. Well, there's a bone over here too, but this one is sharper, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, so get on your knees again. So we did it this way. Maybe you were doing this choke first, and then you slipped out to this one, and then you went back. I mean, who knows what you're doing? I mean, once you've got it in deep, you don't want to just let go, all right? So you're cranking that. I'm all the way down. Get the neck crank. That's not working. We'll let go of your bicep, grab their tag, push their head through there, and now you've got thumb in. And you go right back to the long rope. I'm calling this a long rope as opposed to choking them. Long rope. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we did 1, 2, 3, 5. So what does that mean? Skip one. We'll pop it. We'll cut and paste it back in a second. But try that. 1, 2, 3, 5. And you're right back where you started, but this time your thumb is in. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, go. All right. So what's the big question now?
What's for?
What's for? All right. So we started with the long rope. Then we did this. Then we popped down here. We did that. All right. And this is, I think, my favorite choke. I'm going to grab my sleeve right here. And there's the choke. And if that doesn't work, then I grab the tag. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But at the end of 3, we actually kind of have both options. So from 3, we could spread out to the, what do you call that?
Sleeve choke.
Ezekiel choke, sleeve choke.
Sleeve choke. Or this wraparound paper cutter.
Loop choke or vector cutter.
Loop choke. All right? So, what do I do first from here? Zip. Zoop. And then there's different variations of this one. I'm all the way down. He's still not tapping. What do I do?
Neck crank.
I'm like, man, is this guy superhuman? Now what? Grab my sleeve. I like to do this. I don't know if
I like to
Renshi
do
would
that.
like that or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, you gotta make
But I
space.
like to do that. And I'm like, man, maybe he's got his chin so tucked, or who knows. I'm back down. I've grabbed the tag. I've got the thumb in this time. And the question was, well, what do I do now? Well, you can go right back through the whole sequence, except you started with 5 in the place of 1. You actually never would come back to this one once the thumb is in there. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're gonna get this one, and this teaches the same lesson. You see the space?
Gone.
Now you don't. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here, is take that space away. All right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, go. Circle up. If you're in the mount, probably the best case scenario. If you're in their guard, I can still do all the same chokes. You might just sit up and do that one. Still do all of them, okay? Just kind of a note on these chokes, you know, make sure you get deep, and sometimes you've got to move over a little bit to create that space. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay? So you don't need to see it. Just do it from your back, having them in the guard. So you're on the bottom doing the same series. And kind of the benefit was from the top, you're like, I can do all of them, no problem. From the bottom, some of them are a little harder, and you need to know which ones are your bread and butter, which ones aren't. Maybe one of them's weak. What do I have to do a little different to make it work? And I mean, I would assume you guys have done those from every position, but maybe not in sequence like that, okay? So give it a shot from the back. Go. All right, I'm gonna throw something crazy at you. Frenchie might tell you something later like, that was some bull crap. Nah. All right, he's on his back. I'm in the mount. All right. What happens if he tries to do the choke on me?
Straight to
I
that.
could get armbar. He could get armbar. Okay. All right, so let's say I'm on top and I'm just beating on him and he's trying to do a reversal and he can't. All right? Nothing is working. Nothing is working. And he's like, well, I'm not supposed to do that choke because I'll get armbarred. You're already what? You're already losing.
Yeah.
All right? So here's my philosophy. He's thinking, if I do this, I'm going to get armbarred. He knows exactly what
Is
I'm
coming.
gonna do,
Yeah.
all right? Which might be his only option. But what if I'm stupid and I don't know the arm bar? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I just got choked out from the top, all right? Something to put in your bag of tricks. Sometimes the person doesn't know, they're just like, let's say he was just a white belt off the street and he got on top of you. You might not get him off because he's so big and he's already half knocked you out and he's broken your nose and you're like, I'm just gonna die here. And you're like, well, I'm gonna do that choke I'm never supposed to do. And he's wearing a blazer. So you get it and you're like, wow, this guy was wearing a jacket suit for me. And they don't do the arm bar. But the second I post up to try to do this, you guys probably know some things to do to try to get out of that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
So we're not going to practice it, but just consider that. Does that make sense?
Sure.
All right. He just is doing all these chokes. All right. Somehow I get back. All right. All right. I'm going to get the calf crush. All right. So come in real close. I do my calf crush a little different than how Renshi does it. I don't know why this works better for me and his way works better for him, okay? I would never tell you to change the way you're doing it. But we had a long discussion last year after I did this because I pop under here and do it, where most people don't. They arch the back here. But I like to bring this under and crank it, okay? So it can be done both ways. Sometimes if the person is really strong, because I did it against him and it worked fine. I mean, he said, I do feel that, all right? And I went under, and I want you just to try that. I want you to set up a calf crush, and I want you to pop under here. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Go. All right, circle up. All right, here is the scenario. And you guys, your calf crushes are super dynamic. I know they're just fine the way they are. But sometimes something's not working. Let's say you're in here, you're doing the and you're like, it's not working. And this guy's, he's almost gotten that leg out one time, and you're like, nothing's working. Do you just let go? I mean, I don't think, let's try it a different way. Boom. I'm almost doing this, which I don't think is the body mechanics for the way that you normally do your calf crush. It's more this, maybe this, okay? It's just a slight variation. So put it there as a reserve. What if you were trying to set it up and you realize, dude, how did I end up here? And you're trying to get back out. Well, maybe you don't need to, because you've got this plan 1A for a calf crush. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, on your feet, get a quick drink of water. Let me teach you the attack first. All right, this is the attack. I gotcha. I don't like you. I'm gonna punch you. All right, so it's elbows high, one hand, punch. Elbows, high, one hand, punch. Everybody. Elbows, high, one hand, punch. All right. Against each of those, we're going to do one of the throws that you already know. Does that make sense? Let's let you dynamic Wonder Twins pair up. All right. So you can throw him fine?
Yeah.
Okay. So from here, do hip throw. He gets up and says, "How dare you?" And now he puts his hands on her here. Shoulder throw. Boom. He stands up. All right, that's the first two things we're going to do. Let's go ahead and knock that out real quick, just a couple times. Get your throw back on, and then I'm going to teach you a third throw, which is, it's an Aikido throw that is not great for self-defense, but it's great for developing a better fall. The faller. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
It also looks great for a demo, in case you ever do a demo, or if you ever doing fight coordination for a John Wick film. All right? So, go. All right. When he came here, she did the hip throw. When he came here, she did the shoulder throw. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Turn around. That's what you're going to do. Okay? All right. Turn back around. All right. Based on what he does, you need to do the correct throw. That make sense? And you better do a throw.
I'll throw.
Go. Stop.
Wait, no.
Now,
I'm working on it.
y'all know that this girl is a good Jiu Jitsu player, that she throws very well. And if we had said nothing and I just said throw him, she probably would have been fine. But she was expecting this or this, and we gave her this. Do you think this is the secret move no one can throw you out of? No. It just made her brain all of a sudden like, I don't have something for that. So you should be able to find the throw, regardless of how they do it. So before we move on, if she's the thrower, you're gonna go, bam, find a throw. Bam, find a throw. All right? Give them one, and maybe you don't give them the other one. Give them the same one. You should be able to find one of those throws out of however they grab you, because she has both options, hip throw or shoulder throw. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, go. Circle up. All right, you can get a lot of mileage out of one hip throw and one shoulder throw in your arsenal, okay? And they work interchangeably. In most situations I've found, if the hip throw won't work here, the shoulder throw will, and vice versa, okay? So that's why I did this for one and this for the other, but then you just had to find which one. All right, throw three. Remember, he's gonna like reach at me first. All right, this is an Aikido throw. It's crazy. You step out here and you throw. You're probably just gonna break their arm before that's gonna happen. But I want you to see the power I can put on this throw to help him become a better faller. All right? I can do it one more time, medium speed. That was medium speed. You're gonna get loose, bro. Slap out. All right? Loose! You cannot get that kind of torque on a hip throw. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
But look what else I can do. You also can't do a hip throw that slow. So it's great for training people that are having great difficulty falling. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
It looks awesome. I don't know if I could pull that throw off if I had to. I know I can hip throw and shoulder throw, all right? But put it in the arsenal. I mean, it has a place. It actually was helping who? The faller. Who's heard of something that crazy? This throw will help you when you hit hard, all right? So do it a couple times. Tell your partner when you're ready to go to the next level. Now, he reaches at me. I basically grab his wrist. I got to go through here. You You see where I am?
Yes.
It's very awkward. And then he's gonna go into a forward roll. All right? So me and Renchi will be coming around to help you, because a lot of you are gonna get the hand backwards and you're gonna realize this is way too complicated. Well, that's what algebra is for, to be complicated, so that math is easy. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right,
It's
go.
undeniable. That's why I love that he's teaching this. The mechanics are undeniable. So Joel's got, I think, the most limber arms of anybody, I think. So here's the trick. If I go to do something to him and his hand, look how far this freaking thing will turn. You know, you're like, his arm's gonna come unscrewed, right? The bottom line is that this throw will not work on him if I don't get the tension that I need into it. So again, he reaches to me, I grab, I turn, and he's really not in any pain, right? So until I turn to here. Now once I turn to here, he's gonna feel like, well, if I straighten my arm, that's gonna give me some comfort. So I don't let him do it. And I move, and when I go to push this to the floor, if I don't feel this tension, if I feel like it's unwinding, he's just gonna straighten his elbow, he's gonna get out. So I just keep the tension on it all the way until he gets to the ground. And that's what makes the throw, is the inward tension on the wrist and the elbow. So if I do it like this, I'm not gonna get any tension on the wrist at all, right? And he just throws his elbow to the ground. See how his elbow goes to the ground? Because I don't have the wrist. The wrist control is what matters. I get here, and I can crank him really hard, right? And he has to go. Now, much like Sean, this is not my specialty. I'm going to admit that I can't get this off in a fight because I haven't trained to fight with it. But what I will say is the mechanics are undeniable. Okay? Brent?
Sir.
So again, same thing. Guy reaches out. If he keeps his elbow kind of close to his body, this is going to be hard for me to get into. But the thing is he reached out. He reaches out. I go under, and I start cranking this thing. He doesn't really like that. I start pushing him to the ground. He wants to roll. It's kind of undeniable, right? All right. If Sean lets me, I'll give you a tip after, and then you guys can go ahead and continue to drive on with this.
All right, did everybody manage to do it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. The fourth move in the sequence, remember he's hip, actually come back. All right. Start low. Hip throw. He gets up. He grabs high. Shoulder throw. He gets up. Let's just make this a cross grab. I think it's easier to get the rep. All right? Keep going, keep going, keep going. Under, there's the lock. Take it down. Boom. He gets up. Now this time, he's gonna come with this punch. So throw it at me, okay? Leg sweep, okay? Same one we did the other night. Punch at me again. Here. I would love for this leg to be forward, but if it's not, that's why I'm going this way. He will still go down, okay? So we did hip throw, shoulder throw, stunt throw, leg sweep, and you took all of them, boom, 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 and now it's my turn, all right? And you do the flip-flop, okay? So try to do all four in sequence, and I know you know the first two very well, and the third one very well. That middle one, almost middle, that is the one that you're kind of trying to put into the bag of tricks. Where it's going to fit in your lexicon of techniques, who knows? Maybe it's the one you're going to throw out. But you got to weed through the stuff. Go. All right, so the big part of the lesson here was hip throw, shoulder throw. Those are your bread and butter. You should be able to do them interchangeably. And we kind of forced you with that, which way am I going to go, to pick one of them, okay? And a lot of times in training, you're like, we're just doing the hip throw, and you're just kind of letting me do the hip throw. Sometimes you got to have a little bit of a mix match. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then we did the throw that really it's just mechanics, okay? It almost has no business in a self-defense situation. But we listed a lot of good things that can come out of it. One of them is falling, there was mechanics. Sometimes you do something complicated and you figure out how to do the steps, that easy stuff gets even easier. And I've been to seminars, and then they're like, go, and I'm like, bro, I don't have the parts. I need to see it again. And that one had a lot of moving parts. And then we went to 4, which was something you know very well, but we kind of did a variation, and we did worst case scenario, which was his leg is back. Usually I won't sweep that guy. If I'm gonna sweep that guy, I have to be deep and I have to be strong. I'm always shorter, so I'm always gonna be down here, but do you see what I'm doing?
Step, yeah.
I mean, I'm getting back here so that I can strike it. Boom. I'm not pushing him over. I don't think I would win that. Even from here, go. Straighten your leg out. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna win that unless he just all of a sudden is surprised. But if I'm through, I don't think he's gonna win. Make sense?
Sure.
Okay? So it's through. All right? Now keep in mind, the way I didn't show you how to do a hip throw or a shoulder throw, the way you guys are doing it is incredible. The stunt throw, who cares? We did that as a weird thing to do with a lot of moving parts. And then I do my leg sweep a little different because it just works better for me. And here's the thing about this guy. He probably can do my leg sweep better than me. And he doesn't even do it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
You see him pull this thing out and he was doing it like an Aikido master? It's because he knows everything but teaches you what you need to know. If you're like, I sure wish we could do traditional Japanese weapons, he knows them and could teach them to you. Does that make sense?
Yes,
sir.
But what's the point of doing that? Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. Excellent class. Thanks for having me here. Thank you, Renchi, for letting me teach your class. I mean, he doesn't need me to come in here and teach you guys. He doesn't. But he's nice enough to let me do it and do some crazy stuff. But you need to see that once in a while. So thank you so much. I hope I can come next year and not wait 2 years. But I will definitely be back. And I hope you'll be here. Okay?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Will he be a black belt in 2 years? Maybe. All right. They definitely should be. In 2 years?
2 years will be 17.
We'll be 17, so yeah.
Oh, there's a rule?
Yeah, it has to be
I
16.
typically don't give
All right.
the